Welcome, welcome, welcome back to Living the Run, your radio show for everything health and fitness. I'm your new host, filling in for the great originator, the innovator, the creator of Living the Run, Ryan Ferran. I get lucky to sit next to a voice you were all so familiar with the last 18 months, year and a half. Former decathlete and Olympia in 2004, Mr. Paul Terek. Thanks for joining me, Paul.
Yeah, I got to correct you, though. You're not really filling in. You're more replacing. It's not a fill-in. Ryan's not calling. He's not out for a week or two. He is gone, and the show hosting duties fall on your shoulders now.
Well, they may very well, but I got to say that at least the spirit of Ryan Ferran will linger at least for a little while. I know, heck, Paul, maybe we'll even get Ryan in as a guest caller one time. He can get a little interview with you.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm looking to heckle him from the other side of the microphone this time. It'll be a new change for me. But hey, before we get too far, I want to thank you for keeping the show running. I know our listeners out there are a little confused. I mean, a couple weeks ago it was, all right, we're done, we're packing up, Ryan's moving south, we'll see you later. We know you heard the news, you were excited to, you didn't want to see the show go, you were excited to keep it going. I know you talked to Ryan. And he managed to talk you into starting the show back up and getting it going. So I just wanted to say thanks. I know there's a lot of people out there, maybe 8, 9, 10 people at least, that are thankful you're doing that.
Well, Paul, Ryan told me that there's over 1,800 on Facebook, and this is still alive for you listeners that used it in the past. We still are on livingtherun.com. You can find us on facebook.com as well as twitter.com. And thanks for saying that, Paul. We wanted to keep this thing going. I got a passion for health and fitness, and there's no reason to let this thing go. I know the SLO community was truly embracing it, but I think that the true thanks does come to Ryan Ferran. Ryan had a passion himself a year and a half ago. He wanted to talk about things, everything health and fitness. He knew that the SLO community really was a leader in this country when it comes down to health and longevity. And heck, you probably remember back not too long ago in Parade Magazine there, Paul, they talked about SLO being one of the happiest places on earth, including North America.
Yeah, why do they gotta let the secret out of the bag, man? You don't tell people that, because then people are gonna come here. We don't want people coming here and staying. They can come visit, enjoy some of the local activities, enjoy some of the wine in the restaurants we have, but then go. Don't tell them it's the happiest place. They're gonna want to move here.
Well, Paul, that's precisely it, and that's why we started that show back up again this week. The whole idea is that people are going to be inundating this town with the first annual ever SLO Marathon coming up on April 22nd, this Sunday. And so what we're looking at is Samantha Pruitt, who will be on the show in just a little bit. It'll be a great interview, a can't-miss thing for you listeners. And what we're looking at is a future event, even possibly a qualifier for things like the Boston Marathon and big marathons in the future. So this thing's going to be on the map, Paul, whether you like it or not.
It's not whether I like it or not. I mean, hey, if somebody wants to go run a marathon, more power to them. I can applaud their efforts. But I know you're gonna pick right up where Ryan left off, and you're gonna try to goad me into a half marathon or something silly like that. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put my foot down now and say that the full marathon will not happen, and it will be a long time and a cold day down south before a half marathon ever happens. So I want to squash that bug before it gets crawling.
Well, as a former athlete myself, always playing with a ball, I never thought
right.
that I'd be...
Sixth grade dodgeball champion, that's
yeah,
right. You former athlete. You tell us about it.
Well, using the ball was always the thing, and I never thought I'd find myself running in a half marathon or a full marathon, but maybe we should lay down the gauntlet right now, Mr. Terek, and put a bet out there. I'm going to put the half marathon on this Sunday, and I'm going to do my best there, but I'll even give you a year to train for that second annual next year, and let's just say this, how about winner pays the others sign-up fees?
Winner pay. I'm gonna win the sign-up fee next year, so then you won't have to pay anything.
Well, I didn't know about there was any freebies coming into this one. I missed that boat, but
I'm planning on the show doing well and us having a good relationship with the race director, and then maybe she'll offer us some prizes like spots in the marathon, and I plan on winning one of those. Because I'm not going to put that limitation on myself that says friends and affiliates with the station can't win. I'm going to make sure I have a chance to win that.
Well, hey, as a former tremendous athlete yourself, I think one thing to ask right off the bat, we're looking at San Luis Obispo, one of the nicest places on earth, some of the greatest weather, some of the greatest surroundings and environment we could think about for a race. I know you competed a ton on different tracks and in different places. What were some of your most fun places to compete, Paul?
honestly, I've been to a lot of big stadiums and a lot of bigger countries where track and field was more embraced. But I think the greatest place I ever competed, I just loved the place and I loved the athletes. Cuba, I stand by it. Cuba was probably one of the greatest competitions in terms of there was a camaraderie among the athletes, and the fans were really into it. The facilities down there were a little less than, we'll say, acceptable, but they made they made do with what they had, and they put on a great meet, and I would go back there tomorrow if I got the phone call to.
Interesting you say Cuba there. This is we're on Living the Run right now. I'm your new host, Rex Stevens, alongside former Olympian Paul Terek. We're talking about favorite places to compete and talking about this upcoming SLO Marathon, April 22nd here, first annual in San Luis Obispo. I don't know if you ever saw the documentary Sicko, Paul. But anyway, if you looked at what Michael Moore was saying, he kind of mentioned that Cuba was one of the better places to get health care. Do you agree?
Luckily, I didn't have to get health care while I was down there. But, I will say this about Cuba, that this is, and I'll tell everyone I ever meet about this, they value, they know the secret. They value personal relationships. Our ridiculous U.S. economic policy and the politics behind all that, it's kept Cuba like in the 1960s, and only recently have they been able to trade with countries and have some sort of economy with countries that do business with the U.S. because of embargoes. And the thing is, because they haven't had, they didn't have material goods. There wasn't a materialistic idea down there. They didn't, it wasn't, I'm going to go buy something that's going to give me happiness. I'm going to go to the store and I'm going to get a new outfit, or I'm going to go buy a new car, or I'm going to go buy this, because you can't buy things. The thing that was crazy down there, and this was weird, is a guitar player. Find a guitar player in Cuba and see if he has a set of extra strings. It would be rare to find a guy you see a lot of guys playing like 3-string guitars, and the reason is, I think there's only 3 or 4 guitar string manufacturers in the world, and most of them are in the U.S. And so they couldn't do any business with Cuba, and so it was a rarity that they would be able to find something like that. But anyways, the point is, the Cuban culture they love personal relationships. Everyone down there that I met, pretty much everyone was fit. They did a lot of walking. They were very active. They led active lifestyles. Everything was in moderation, just because they don't have a lot. And I really dig that. It should be an example for everybody else.
Hey, for those of you non-Republican and non-Democrats out there looking to vote independent, I think that was a pitch for Paul Terek 2012. That was Paul Terek 2012. One of the big things we're going to be talking about, of course, in the 2012 campaign is health, and that's what this show, Living the Run, you can find us on livingtherun.com.
We don't need to talk about it, man. We don't need to talk about health. Obama's going to tell you what kind of health you're going to get, and you're going to love it. That's what you're going to like. You're going to get certain health, and that's what you're going to get, and you're going to like it. That's what's going to be here. Well, you think this ain't a democracy? It is. Oh, my bad. Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, you made mention of the folks in Cuba, and they moved around and they were active. They had a slightly different lifestyle than here. We were just seeing patients in the clinic, and the electricity went out. And the electricity went out for a couple hours. And the one thing that I was thinking the whole time was what would this town do if there was no electricity? And the reality is we'd move a heck of a lot more. And so activity levels would go up clearly, maybe 2-3-fold for most people. And I think what you'd see there, Paul, is you'd see an increase in people's health and fitness, and it'd be a start in the right direction.
Yeah, I think so. You know what? The one thing that drives me nuts, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners can agree, if the power ever goes out, which it is kind of a rarity here, we have pretty mild weather. When you go someplace and they can't ring you up for something, it's like it costs $1.75. I'm gonna give you $2. You give me a quarter back. Oh well, I can't ring you up. It's the register, the electricity's down. Okay, well I'm gonna give you $2 anyways. And you just go ahead and give me a quarter, and when it comes back up, you just charge it. Oh, I can't do that. I can't do it. It's like business ceases. Life stops for people. Or if they can't calculate correct change, oh man, you've given me $40 for a $34.28 bill. I don't know what to do here. I can't calculate that.
But Paul, that's what it's all about here. Is that these people are too sedentary, and it's one of the topics we'll talk about in the healthcare system. Is in getting healthy. Is how do you get that brain a little bit more active? How do you get those synapses going so that you can do that simple math of taking that $2, subtracting $1.75, and handing over a quarter without a computer? And these are real important things. And I know things get even a little bit more complex than that. But the evidence and the research is clear hear over and over and over again is those people that are moving and are active really, really have a high-firing brain and are able to make those quick decisions and healthy decisions, not only for themselves, but those people around them.
Agreed. Totally agree.
Perfect. Well, we're looking forward to having Samantha Pruitt in here. She had just great forethought and work ethic and dedication. She is the designer, the person who put the backbone, all the nuts and bolts together for this SLO Marathon, and that's what we're really talking about here today. You know, when Ryan started this show, it was all about what's going on in this community and how can we participate together, not only as a community to rise up health, but as individuals setting goals for ourselves. We're going to see some elite athletes out there this Sunday, which will be just an absolute ton of fun to see people at a real top level running 26.2 miles. But we're also going to see some first-timers, and those are some of the inspirational stories. I know next week we're excited already about next week's show. We're going to get a couple inspirational stories on here, interviews we can get of folks that have competed maybe for the first time and made some just really tremendous strides in their health, as well as getting those top athletes back in here to talk about this course in comparison to some of the other courses.
Yeah, we have a very interesting topography here in San Luis. There is a lot of flat area, but there's also a lot of hills, so it's going to be it'll be exciting to see the route for the race and see where she's punishing them at.
Absolutely. You know, they talk about rolling hills on this course, and I kind of had to chuckle to myself just yesterday when a patient said, geez, I think it's going to be hot for the race. It doesn't get hot in San Luis Obispo, folks. You know, I lived in Dallas, Texas, Atlanta, Georgia. Going running out there, it can get pretty blazing. But San Luis, I don't think it's going to be hot, especially when this thing gets kicking off at 6 a.m., Paul, on Sunday morning. You ever trained at 6 a.m.?
Yeah, actually, I have. And you just gotta love people when it's cold at 65 and hot at 82. I mean, there's a 17-degree span that they live their lives, and it's like, oh, it's 82 degrees outside. It's so uncomfortable. Oh, it's freezing. It's 65 out today. You know, it's like, come on, people. If you're talking to a guy from Michigan who was like, it was like 43 in the morning, high of like 90, you know, and like, you know, and maybe back at night it drops like into the 60s. You know, it's all over the place. You just have no idea.
You're right. The fluctuations are a lot less here on the Central Coast, and that's why we live here, and that's why we chose here. Guys, when we return to the show, it is a can't-miss opportunity. We get to talk down with the creator of this SLO Marathon, again, the person who put in the hard work behind the scenes, and hopefully you get a chance to just understand how difficult sometimes putting one of these events on, the amount of work that went into it, and how cherished it should be as just an awesome opportunity for this community. So we'll be back to Living the Run in just a few moments.
You're listening to Living the Run on ESPN Radio 1280 The Ticket. We're back with Living the Run.
Welcome back to Living the Run. I'm your new host, Rex Stevens, alongside your old co-host, former Olympian,
I'm old,
Paul Terek.
Let's say experience. Can we say experience?
Yes.
Thank you, old.
Aging.
I'm dealing with that problem, you know, mentally. I don't need
Aging is relative, Paul. We are also alongside, fortunate to be with race director, innovator, creator of the SLO Marathon, first annual and hopefully many to come, Samantha Pruitt. Thanks so much for coming.
Yes, thanks for having me, gentlemen.
I always had a question about that, Rex. How can it be the first annual? Wouldn't it just be the first?
Inaugural.
Oh, the inaugural. Okay.
First inaugural.
Oh, I like that. So I didn't mean to call you out on that. I just always had that question.
Yeah. There were some marathons here 26 years ago, and we actually did a commemorative program for our athletes that each one will get their name is in there, but also it tells the history of the marathon in San Luis Obispo, so it's pretty cool.
Awesome. I guess the first question just simply has to be, why here, why now?
Why here, why now? Well, we've been working on this for years, actually, very challenged for the last couple of years, working hard towards this goal. So why now? Because the time has come. And all of our fruits are
you're tired of working on it, and you're like, you know what? I'm just going to draw a chalk line here, draw a chalk line 26.2 miles later, and we're good to go.
The time is right. The marathon market is really solid. The running world is, it's doing well. And San Luis Obispo, who doesn't want to run in San Luis Obispo?
Wow.
We got it going on.
I was just telling Paul before you came in, I had a patient that says, I don't know, it looks like it's going to be a little hot this weekend. And we kind of had a chuckle. 6 a.m. in San Luis Obispo, too hot?
Yeah, not so much. But everybody watched Boston. It was hot in Boston on Monday, and people were like panicking, oh my God, what's going to happen in San Luis Obispo? Not hot,
you're
not
going
hot.
to run a marathon. You don't go, oh man, I'd really like it to be 65. 70 would be really nice. Oh, is it going to be 80? Kenyans run with no shoes on in like 130 degrees.
That's right.
And they're beating everybody else. It can't be that bad. I mean,
it won't be. It's going to be beautiful.
Well, now, is this true? Speaking of the Boston Marathon that just happened this last Monday, we're talking to Stephanie Pruitt, creator of the first inaugural SLO Marathon here, April 22nd. On Sunday. Dave McGilvory, am I saying that right? He's been doing 40 years directing that Boston Marathon there. He said that on race day, he should be the least busy person out on the course.
If he's done his job
right.
That's exactly right.
That is right. Interesting. Yeah.
That's exactly right.
So on
it's
race
all about
day,
having a good team. You know?
Absolutely. So on race day, what are the responsibilities for you? What are your expectations? Where will you be? Where can people see you?
Yeah. So most of my work, of course, will be done at that point too. It's been, lots of work up until that point, and then I basically we pull the trigger, and if everybody does what they're supposed to do, my job is very, very easy. So I'll be on the back of a motorcycle, literally riding the course all day long, and hoping to have a very few events go down that I'm required to be at to deal with. So
fantastic. Dave McGilvory also said, I believe that he said that about 6 weeks out, it's like conducting an orchestra and getting that thing ready for game day. Is 6 weeks out the busiest time? What is the busiest time for you guys?
It is. Yeah.
And why is it the busiest time?
Because that's when all of your planning comes to the table and everything that you have in the pipeline in terms of all of your contracts and just all of the different things that you have putting together, all the puzzle pieces start coming together and coming to a head, so to speak. And now it's just a matter of making sure, everything's all that, I's are dotted and the T's are crossed and everybody knows what they need to do and you have everything that's required. We literally have an army. I mean, it's kind of mind-boggling what it takes to produce something like this and how much hours and supplies. And I mean, you can only imagine. And that's the first year with 2,800 athletes.
So it's not just a piece of chalk on the ground and another piece of chalk and a stopwatch.
No.
So this isn't how it works here, huh?
No.
We're actually getting a real marathon out of this, huh? This is a legitimate, good marathon. I like what I hear.
We're getting a nationally recognized, and actually it's already bordering international recognition. We have athletes coming from other countries, from 27 other states, and this is the first year. So yeah, it's a USA Track and Field sanctioned event, and it's a Boston qualifier.
What
so
states
we're
aren't
legit.
making it? What states? Probably the fattest states
Seriously,
in the nation.
where
Probably
is
the fattest.
Alaska?
Michigan, where are you at? That's right. It's
Alabama, bring it. Yeah.
I think Mississippi wasn't that one of the ones?
Mississippi, I believe, and you had Colorado and Utah, I think, were some of the healthiest, and we've got marathons out there, right?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, they're everywhere in the United States now. But they don't look like San Luis Obispo.
Well, what makes San Luis Obispo's course unique here in comparison to some of the other courses? Again, you're listening to Stephanie Pruitt, director of the first inaugural SLO Marathon coming April 22nd here on Living the Run on 1280 ESPN, The Ticket. What makes this course unique and special?
I would say the number one quality is just the pure beauty of what we have to offer here. So this is not a big city race. This is definitely a destination race. So we take everybody through the best of what San Luis Obispo has to offer. So the downtown here is, it's amazing. The heart of our city is beautiful, and they get to run through that. And then they get to run out into the Edna Valley, which is it's epic, really, between the rolling hills out there and the vistas. There's not much better than that. It's beautiful.
You keep talking the race up, and this goes back to the thing where we talked about this being the happiest place. Don't tell people these things. Don't tell people, because then you're going to get more and more and more entrants. And then it's going to be one of these big conglomerate marathons. I mean, good for the marathon, but bad for people that want to run. It should be a secret. A secret. Don't tell anybody.
What is this, a cult?
Yes. Yeah.
We're all going to
Distance
get
running
tattoos.
is a cult. Distance running is a cult.
Paul
Yeah.
has big concerns about a clogged downtown, traffic on the
Yeah,
highway.
there's
you're
gonna
not
be
gonna have to worry about that,
55 mile
darling.
an hour drivers in the left lane. It's going to be
No.
terrible. You're going to have to wait to get a sandwich.
Oh, please. First of all, the people that come from
Terrible.
out of town stay in our hotels, they eat in our restaurants, they rent cars, or they walk, or, we shuttle our athletes to the race. So, yeah, we're not going to be wreaking havoc on your town.
Oh, man.
We're being
I
good.
Hope so. I hope so. Or I hope not.
Talk a little bit about hopes and expectations for the race and expectations for the future for San Luis Obispo in this marathon.
Yeah, you bet. So we capped our half at 2,000 and it sold out, and our full at 800 and it sold out, and our 5K at 800 and it's almost sold out. So that's the first year, 3,600 athletes between our three races, and we anticipate next year, when we have actually more time to market this, and we have really opportunities to work some nice national promotions, that we will be triple the size next year.
Now, where's the start?
Slow high.
At Slow High, and then where is the
Finish?
How's it going to go? Yeah, exactly. How's it going to go?
So we start at Slow High, and we go out California and then down Monterey into the downtown area. And we go to past the Fremont to the Mission, and then we take a sharp left on Choro at the Mission. And then on to South Higuera, do a little bit of a South Higuera jog down to the Marsh Street Exchange. And then do a sharp left onto Marsh, and then come back. And it does a little jig jog, Napomo to Buchan. They go up Buchan and then to Mitchell Park. That's the first aid station. Great spectator viewing there. And then to Santa Rosa. And then Santa Rosa, right turn on Marsh again until they hit Johnson. And then we take them out Johnson and then basically past where they started, Slow High School area, and then out Orchid all the way into the Edna Valley.
Okay, yes, because I did see some signs up on the freeway talking about, was it Price
Yeah.
Canyon, part of Price Canyon closed or something?
Right,
Alternate
yeah.
route, yeah.
Well, the marathoners go all the way out into the Edna Valley and do an entire loop lollipop of the Edna Valley. So there is going to be some road closures out there, and there's going to be some single-lane traffic. And we have a professional traffic company doing all that for us, but it's going to be great.
I'm sorry, you lost me at Lollipop. What was that?
Lollipop. We're not serving lollipops out
Oh, man.
For those of you just tuning in, you're listening to Samantha Pruitt, director of the first inaugural SLO Marathon happening here on April 22nd. She was just describing the course to us. I know you must have a pulse on some of these marathons that are going on around the world and especially in this country. What gave you the sense that, the pulse was ready here in SLO, being a little bit smaller town, only 40,000 people? A lot of these things we see are in those big cities. How do we know that the pulse was ready here and seemingly going to put on an awesome race?
Right. So we're not trying to compete with the big city races. They produce something that we don't. That's not really what we're looking for. So we're really about showcasing the slow life, and our expo is entitled the Slow Life Expo. So the best of what the Central Coast has to offer. So creating more of a destination race, and we actually anticipate this will be a top 10 destination race within about 3 years. And it's just going to have a whole other vibe to it, where people come, they stay 3 and 4 days, they vacation, they hang out, and they really get to see what this town has to offer. And don't worry, we won't crowd the streets beyond your expectations, Paul. But, driving money, tourism dollars into our hotels and restaurants is always a good thing, and that's part of what we're trying to create, too. And the city of San Luis Obispo has been very good to us.
Hey, how awesome would it be if next year's race, I don't know how this year's is going to go. Like I said, if you did it, or like you said, if you did a good job, you won't be busy at all.
Right.
What if you put like a kids sprint race on Monterey Street? That would be awesome. I would totally go watch that.
Oh, there you
Like
go.
a 400-meter sprint race up Monterey for little kids. That'd be awesome.
Seems to be pretty obvious why Paul was not in charge of putting together
Well,
this race.
yeah.
Well, I just want to try to enter that 400-meter kids race and try to win something, man.
Oh, I see.
I want to get in on the
You're going to
action.
compete with a 12-year-old?
Compete with them. I won't compete against them.
It's an age group
With
thing.
them, this ain't a relay.
Well, once again, Paul trying to bow out of the half marathon next
Yeah.
year. He's just not interested in the
We
competition.
have a 5K.
I'm not bowing out. I'm avoiding it like the plague. There's a difference.
Okay, I'll see you in the beer garden.
Yeah, there you go. I don't drink. I'm terrible.
Hey,
Okay.
maybe the last thing here. I know you got to be busy this week,
Yes.
coming down to the end. But any sense on what we're looking at as far as maybe first-time racers, the percentage of first-time racers, people never competed in a marathon or a half marathon, versus people who've done a bunch of these, versus the elite athletes that might be here? What can we be looking for as fans out there coming to watch and support the race?
I think actually it's a huge viewing opportunity for sports fans, because this course has never been run by anybody ever. So it's a first-time course. It is a USA Track and Field sanctioned event and certified event, so it has a lot of specs that are going to draw the high caliber athlete. And we're going to get a pretty aggressive field that are looking to prove themselves on a new course, and it is a challenging course, so that's appealing too. We're estimating that the first place male will win somewhere around 2 hours and 30 minutes, and the first place female will be somewhere around 3 hours. But who that's going to be, we'll see.
What did Boston come in here for the males and the females on Monday? Do you remember what those times were?
I don't, but we had a local guy from Los Olivos that he was the third place American at 2:33.
2:33, fantastic.
Yeah.
Fast,
mind-boggling. Mind-boggling.
Flat out flying in that heat.
Yes.
Tremendous amount of heat out there. Well, hey, thanks for coming into the studio today. Really fantastic to have you. I know you've been a kind of a rock for Living the Run. Ryan, I know, appreciated you very much as a frequent guest, and thanks so much.
I love this show.
Thanks for so much for putting this show. Coming on to the show with us, and then putting on this SLO Marathon. I think we can find more information. Fans that want to come to this can look at slowmarathon.com.
That's right.
And then I think for next year, if they want to participate, they better make sure that they get in early, right? Because this thing sounded like it sold out pretty darn quick.
It did. We had a big waiting list, and we really appreciate all the support, and we want to give a big shout-out to all our locals who have supported us. We have 500 volunteers, and those are locals. So thanks, guys.
Fantastic. So thank you, Samantha Pruitt. Again, you can find us on slowmarathon.com. You were listening to Living the Run on ESPN 1280 The Ticket. We will be right back with two sisters to talk a little bit about training and elite running just in a few moments.
You're listening to Living the Run on ESPN Radio 1280 The Ticket. We're back with Living the Run.
We are back on Living the Run. I'm your new host, Rex Stevens, alongside former Olympian Paul Terek. You can find us on livingtherun.com and Facebook and twitter.com. Again, a special thanks to Ryan Ferran for starting this show, Living the Run. Everything about health and fitness. I want to do a quick little segment, Paul, on just something I say is simply phenomenal. You know, there's a guy that just ran the Boston Marathon, 84 years old, oldest guy, Keith Wood. Went in going at about 10-minute pace, went about 4.5 hours on this race. Paul, the guy started running marathons at 71 years old. If he can go at 71, Paul, you can start yours next year, April 22nd, whatever it will be, SLO Marathon.
We'll see. How's that sound? We'll see.
Simply phenomenal. Keith Wood, 83 years old, running a 4:30. I love it.
Trying to guilt trip me into this. Like the 80-year-old guy was doing it. Why can't you do it?
Well, I must say we're grateful to be joined by two special guests. I'm telling you, this room reeks of athleticism, and it is not me. I'm sitting, I should say, next to two phenomenal athletes, Terek Kulikov, training lots of new timers for this half and SLO Marathon coming up. She's an acupuncturist and elite trainer, elite fitness guru herself, alongside her sister, Nicole Kulikov, or should we say Hagobian, right? That's for you, Todd. And two phenomenal runners. Nicole has been in the Olympic trials 3 times, has run a marathon of 2 hours and 40 minutes. This is elite stuff. Thanks for coming in, girls.
Thanks for having us.
Fantastic. Well, Tara, let's start with you. First thing is I want an update on those folks over from Collaboration. I know Michael Gunther and his group, you've been training them. A lot of first-timers over there in the half marathon. How they doing?
All I remember was day one they came out, and all they had to do was a 2-mile run. And let me just say, that was a scary 2 miles for them. A couple weeks back, they threw down 11, 12 miles. They're doing the half marathon like it was nothing. So I am so proud of them. I can't say more.
Awesome.
What can we expect to see out of some of your first timers? Because I'm going to be honest, first timers at anything are the best, and my favorites in any long race are there's the tortoise and the hare, everyone thinks they're a hare. You're not that fast. Don't go that fast. And I love seeing that. So is that like the one thing you've told them? Is
And
like,
that's what happens. They come out and they're like, oh, I mean, I can't run. I run like a 14-minute mile pace. I'm like, do you know what 14-minute mile? Like that's a slow walk.
yeah.
And here they are getting down at a 9-minute mile pace. So they have a lot of room for growth, and they're growing. With a really well-structured training program.
Well, certainly this week before the half marathon and the marathon, there must be certain advice that you're giving to these newbies of the race world. And what might that be coming in? What are the classic mistakes that maybe some of them might make, and how are you trying to ward those off?
Oh, most definitely. So we just finished up our third seminar that we offer through Pinnacle Training Systems, and it was race day preparation this past Saturday. So simple things like, please do not go buy new shoes the day before the race.
Oh, no, you should always change your routine right before something
Yes,
big.
don't change your diet. Don't change your running shorts. Don't change your running watch. So simple things like that to more advanced things like get their strategics down. Know what time the race starts.
Fantastic.
That's a huge one.
That's probably a big one.
To be
Yeah.
honest,
Yeah.
I've actually went to a meet and forgot a pair of shoes before. So I did have 10 to keep track of, but I get there and I go, oh man, what am I long jumping? It's terrible.
Doesn't surprise me, Paul. You still probably high jump 6'5", huh?
I don't know, maybe. It's a possibility. Put some money down on it to find out.
Talking to two competitive racers themselves, sisters Nicole and Terek. Nicole, talk to us a little bit. Nicole's a kinesiology professor over there at Cal Poly. Again, elite marathoners, participated in 3 Olympic trials, including this year. She's also a mother of 2 fantastic young boys. I don't know how you do it. How is the schedule with those kids?
Schedule with the kids. Well, I think the main thing is there can't really be a schedule. So you have to be pretty adaptable when you got 2 little crazies running around that you have to manage, around some type of training. But, yeah, you have to be flexible.
Lovable crazies. Let me ask you the same question. What's the difference here? What are the elite athletes doing here? Those that are trying to win this race, the first inaugural SLO Marathon, April 22nd, this Sunday. What are these elite athletes doing this week? How's the training change, and what are they mentally thinking?
Yeah, well, first let me say the great thing about this race is whoever wins sets a course record, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to have 2 course records on Sunday, one for the man, one for the woman, so that's exciting.
Fantastic point.
And then, secondly, this week for an elite marathoner is really about mental prep. Your training's done. I personally do know some elite level athletes, Paul, you can probably speak on this as well, that they get a little crazy. They do some things that they know they're not supposed to do the week before the race, but most of them are pretty solidified in terms of their training, and they know that anything they do this week isn't going to help them, but it can harm them.
Yeah, the hay is in the barn is my favorite thing.
Definitely. So remembering that saying is extremely important. Some of them, depending on the race, might want to know who their competition is, where they're at fitness-wise, where they're at injury-wise, how they're coming in, looking at the field, those types of things. They want to learn about the course. Personally, I never drive a marathon course. I did that my very first marathon. It was probably the biggest mistake. One of the biggest mistakes I've made as a marathoner because it just seems exponentially longer when you're in a car than when you're running it. So just don't drive it.
Fantastic point. And that's something that probably a lot of these athletes have done as they've looked at the course online on slowmarathon.com and probably gone out there and maybe it might have been a little intimidating. So very, very good point.
Yeah. One of the kids I went to college with, he did his first marathon, and the only advice he had afterwards was, don't buy a new shirt before your first marathon. So he went out and he trained hard, and he was going to run his first marathon. He went out and bought himself a nice new shirt, different fabric. I think you can say this on the radio. Rubbed his nipples totally raw at like mile 7, and like he said that it was terrible the rest of the race. Like he was running with his.
Well, it seems
Rest
like
of the race.
Yeah, and it seems like the elite athletes wouldn't have as much trouble with that. But Tara, are we talking about little tricks of the trade like that for some of these athletes to prevent chafing, to prevent some of these things that kind of debilitating after the race and may make you a little leery about signing up the next time?
Definitely beginners. We try to go through things like blisters and sunscreen and visors because it's going to be warm out there. To potty breaks and things like that. Luckily, this course is going to be very well aided, and what I mean by that, there's going to be aid station every 2 miles. Samantha, the race director who was just on, has really stocked the course well with plenty of hydration and nutrition and aid for Band-Aids and boo-boos.
Fantastic. Well, you're listening here to Living the Run on 1280 ESPN The Ticket. I am the new host, Rex Stevens, alongside former Olympian Paul Terek, and we've got Terek Kulikov in from Pinnacle Training Systems, and her sister Nicole Kulikov, former Olympic trials marathoner. You said something to me one time, Nicole, about that first part of that marathon, those first 10 miles. Your advice would be should feel easy.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, if it doesn't feel easy your first 2 miles, then you're going to have a tough day. I mean, you're pretty much screwed. I hope I can say that as well. Your first 3-4 miles should be your warm-up. And again, I mean, even through, 16, 18, it should feel pretty smooth. So if you're going out too hard, you're going to know, within the first half of that marathon.
Yeah, well, I guess it's no possibility of getting in that thing without pain, and what Lance Armstrong always said, pain is only temporary, quitting is forever. How do you talk to the newbies, Tara, about some of the pain they're probably going to have and some of the suffering at different parts of the race, and give them little tips or confidence on getting through those kind of sticking points?
Well, we are very fortunate to have Nicole Kulikov, Hagobian sports psychologist, teach our mental skills seminar that we provide to our athletes.
Would that be the sister that's standing right next to you?
That would be her,
Yes,
exactly.
that'd be
So mental skills. So we have them focus on a positive aspect. So not to focus on the pain, but to focus on other stronger part of their body. And really assess, is it going to jeopardize them?
I'm sorry.
Is it going to jeopardize their...
We all know where Paul's
No,
mind
I'm just thinking
went.
at mile 19, this guy's going to run and go, oh, my left ear feels so good.
No, totally.
My left ear is
if
so
that
good right
left
now.
ear
It is
is
fresh.
what-
I'm going to the ear. Go to the ear. Go to the ear.
Whatever gets you
Oh,
through that.
terrible.
Yeah. So
Is that a tip we could have found in the book Chi Running?
I do not. Probably, yes.
Basically, the marathoner, and this is just, again, from a guy who's never run a marathon, my understanding of the marathon is the gun goes off, don't do anything really stupid, the first couple miles should feel easy, and then when it starts to feel hard, at about like mile 9, you just go to your happy place and spend the next 14 miles or 17 miles in your happy place.
Mile 9, that's pretty early. Hopefully
Well-
it's not feeling hard
Well,
by
I'll
mile
be
9.
at mile 9. I'd be curled up in my fetal position. That's where I would be. Hopefully, there's an aid station there.
Paul's going to have a seat at each aid station
Yeah,
next year.
dude, that's right.
Yeah, when he enters. Well, talk about maybe, Nicole, some of your favorite courses. You've obviously ran quite a few marathons. Talk about some of your favorite courses and maybe what made them your favorites. And heck, even throw in one that was miserable and why it was miserable.
Yeah, actually, I've only run Rec 7 3/4 marathon. So
That's it.
relatively speaking, not a lot of marathons. My philosophy's been trials qualifier, trials, pretty much. But yeah, my favorite marathons are similar to the slow course. I really like the undulating courses, the rolling hills. I think, muscularly speaking, not to get too scientific here, it's beneficial. My least favorite course is a super flat course, the Chicago Marathon. There's a lot of people that love Chicago Marathon. I did not like the Chicago Marathon.
Just too flat for you, huh? You never felt like you could get the muscles in gear?
No, and I think that it was overuse of certain muscle groups and underuse of others. So the trials in 2004 were in St. Louis, and that course was probably similar to the slow marathon course, maybe a little bit steeper on some of the hills, and it was a criterion course. That's what they do for the trials. So you're running those hills numerous times throughout the loops, but I did really well on that course in terms of being a strength runner.
Fantastic. Did you ever experience, or did you ever mess around with any of this midfoot shoes or any of the 5-finger shoes? Did you ever play with that barefoot running type of thing, or?
It's old school, man. She
There
she
you
went out there, she
go.
toughed it out. She didn't need 5 toe holes for her shoes. She just points at those people in the last. Oh, it works. Like, oh, look at you in your pretty shoes.
I want to see him on your big clumsy feet, Paul.
You go Oxford.
Well, it's bound to be a great race this week. We're super thankful for you guys and the energy that you've put into the race, and these people that you've helped out, Tara, training there, and Nicole as well. Both the physical and the mental aspect of this race is so critical, and I must say it's going to be a ton of fun for these guys. So thank you guys so much for your contribution. Again, we have Nicole Kulikov, kinesiology professor at Cal Poly, and her sister Tara, acupuncturist and trainer at Pinnacle Systems. When we return, Paul, Terek, and I will wrap up the first show back of Living the Run, taking over from the great creator, Ryan Ferran.
You're listening to Living the Run on ESPN Radio 1280 The Ticket. We're back with Living the Run.
Welcome back to Living the Run. I'm your new host, Rex Stevens, along with former Olympian Paul Terek. Paul, it's been a great first show for me. Thanks for having me in. I know you've been doing it for a year and a half, so you're a seasoned veteran, but thanks for letting a newbie in here and doing a little radio.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you keeping the show going. I think the one thing we forgot early on, and this is actually imperative, it's vital. We didn't thank Max, the producer, for coming back and helping us out.
Well, I had that on the list here, Paul.
Apparently,
but
you were the bottom of the list.
Yeah,
Max,
you just kind of stole it, and we were going to leave Max for that last concluding little segment there. But maybe next week we'll move Max up a little bit and get that thank you done a little early. Yeah,
that would be. You know what? I'm sure he would appreciate that.
Well, I want to do one little segment. I thought one thing on Living the Run. Each time we get great guests like Samantha Pruitt or Nicole Kulikov coming in and talking about some great things, giving tips and take-homes, if you will. What can you take away from this show in a little segment we'll call Tips and Takeaways?
What can I take away from the show? When she said it was supposed to feel nice and easy through mile 16 to 18, I'm going to take away the fact that she's just really good at running marathons, and I would not be feeling good at miles. It doesn't even sound good to say it. Like, it hurts me to say mile 16. Mile 16. You know when I'm going to run mile 16? When my car breaks down 17 miles from a gas station and my wife's in labor in the back seat. That's when I'm going to run mile 16. Cell phone doesn't work.
No question, Nicole is an elite athlete, a one-of-a-kind type of runner. I was just stunned to hear that she just didn't participate in too many marathons. She'd just go out, get that qualifying time, and then run the trials.
Well, I think it says a lot about the training, and the type of training that she did. You don't need to compete. You don't need to over-compete. One of the things her sister talked about was people trying to go out and test and see where they're at. That is a huge. The big tip that I would take away from it, and this is from my own experience as well. You don't need to go out and see where you're at a week, 2 weeks before the race. Don't feel good and then go out and run some workout that you've only run once or twice to see how what condition you're in. The hay is in the barn. Don't do anything stupid. Wait for the race to come to find out where you're at. They have the clock there. They have the distance measured. They'll tell you. But a lot of people, track and field was the worst. There would be guys, you would always, Olympic trials every time, U.S. championships every year. You would hear about a guy a week or 2 weeks before the race pull a hamstring, or a guy twist an ankle or overuse his ankle because he's like high jumping an hour or an hour and a half one day when he normally only high jumps for 20 or 30 minutes because he's having a great day and he wants to see where he's at.
Well, that probably is the best tip, Paul. The hay is in the barn, and as Tara said, just don't do anything different. Keep things the same. Keep them as is. Act like you've done it before. Act like you've been running just like you have over the last few weeks. In preparation, well, to you fans out there, thank you for listening to Living the Run. We are back. You can find us on livingtherun.com, recordings of this, as well as video. Find us on Facebook as on Twitter. A final thank you to Ryan Ferran for letting us get this going. Mike Chelson, Max Woodcock, our producer. And thanks again to our guests, Terek Kulikov, Nicole Kulikov, as well as Samantha Pruitt, race director. Come on out this week, guys. April 22nd for the first inaugural SLO Marathon. It's a can't-miss opportunity here in San Luis Obispo, a chance to be a part of this community and really a chance for health and fitness.
Hey, what are we going to be talking about next week? Let's look forward a little bit to next week.
Hey, next week we'll we should have the guests, I suppose. We talked to Tara, and she said that we could be bringing on a couple good stories of people doing their first half marathon or first marathon, as well as Samantha said she'd get us the winners, both the male and the female winner.
So we're going to be able to have the winners on next week. We're going to have a couple newbies on. It's going to be awesome. I'm excited to hear some stories about a guy who thought he was in incredibly awesome shape and went out, ran super fast really early, and died. So I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait.
I love it. We should end with a Prefontaine quote there, right, that says to give anything less than your best is to sacrifice the gift, Paul. So for all those racers this weekend, give your best. For all those coming to watch, give us the best support you can. We will see you back here 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock on Wednesday on Living